Hello and welcome. This is Mohammad Shoaib. So today we will be talking about machine learning topics that I'll be covering as part of end-to-end machine learning course. Okay. So moving on. So here are the list of topics that I'll be covering. So the first thing is we will start with machine learning basics. I'll start giving some basics of what machine learning is and what are the advantages of that. Next is types of machine learning. So basically we'll be covering supervised learning and unsupervised learning here. And then we'll move on to data pre-processing. So this is a very crucial step wherein any machine learning engineer spends most of his time to filter out or to to fine tune the data first before proceeding for any algorithm or coming up with any regression models. Okay, so we'll move on with regression, wherein we'll cover simple, multiple, and polynomial regressions, followed by support vector regression, decision tree, and then random forest. Okay, and moving on, we also have I'll be covering classification, which will consist of logistic regression, KNN, SVM, and kernel SVM, and few more other classifications. So let me basically give you some idea of. I'm just trying to come back to the previous slide. So a regression basically, it evaluates the trends and the sales estimate of one particular use case basically, right? So one more advantage or one more application of regression is we can analyze the impact of price change. Okay, let's say the prices of, let's say, onion is raising day by day, and then we can estimate the price of that particular commodity or that particular product down the line, let's say 2 months down the line or 1 year down the line. Okay, so that's the application of regression. And coming to classification, right? So classification basically is used to classify the set of data, right? So with the different types of algorithms here, we can segregate the data which we are kind of inputting. Okay, and coming to clustering, we have k-means clustering and hierarchical clustering. So the main advantage of this particular type of algorithm is we can group the data into different points, data points. So same group of data points will have similar properties. So let's say you're inputting some data, and then that eventually comes out to be in the section 1 or section 2. So all those inputs of section 1 will have similar features or similar properties with respect to the functionality. So you don't worry if you're getting confused. You will understand when I take this session in detail. Okay. So moving on, we also will be covering association rule learning. Okay, so basically this is used to discover the interesting relationships between the different variables. Okay, let's say your data has the relationship between different variables. So with this algorithm, we can evaluate or decide, or basically this algorithm will decide the relationship, and then will judge the input or test data, and then come up with the output basically. Okay, and the next one is we will next move on to the reinforcement learning. Okay, so basically the two kinds of sections we'll be covering here. One is upper confidence bound and Thompson's sampling. Okay, so this is basically dynamic programming that trains algorithm. Okay, so this basically uses a system of reward and punishment. Okay, let's say it's kind of robotics. When robot takes a step, either the system will reward or the system will punish. So in case the system is punishing, that will not repeat that step again, sort of thing. Okay, so that anyways will be detailing further in the detail section. Next thing we'll be moving on to dimensional reduction. So dimensionality reduction is the process of reducing the number of random variables. Okay, so let's say the data, the test data which we have will mostly have the redundant or irrelevant features with it, right? So the data generally comes in as a raw data, wherein you have lots and lots of columns and rows and everything. So basically your data pre-processing is something which you take care to make sure you only consume the valuable data. Okay, so as part of dimensionality reduction, we also take care of reducing the variables, random variables, to make sure whatever we are picking is right. Okay, so as per that's about the dimensionality reduction. We will then be moving on to the next topic, which is natural language processing. So this basically deals with ability of computer or the system to understand, analyze, and manipulate, and potentially generate the human language. Okay, so there's a vast application of NLP in the real life. So we will anyways be dealing with that in details. Don't worry. And then we'll move on to deep learning, which is an ocean in itself. Don't worry, we'll try to cover as much as we can, and try. I'll try to make sure I cover all the trending topics and everything which is right now in demand. Okay, so main focus we will be giving to is artificial neural networks, uh, followed by conventional neural networks, and do some sentiment analysis as well. Okay, so this is something which basically deals with a customer being happy with the service or unhappy with the service and all. Okay, so we will anyways deal with that in detail, so don't worry. And we will then jump into XGBoost. And apart from these topics which I have mentioned here, there'll be many more which will be covered with time. Okay, so a lot of things which may come ad hoc, we will I'll definitely try to cover as well. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much, as I always say, subscribe to my channel to get the latest updates on newly created videos. So just stick to this flow of lectures that will probably lead you to a person having good knowledge with on the machine learning especially. So thank you. Thanks for your time and take care. See you in the next lecture. Bye bye.